Imagine being born into slavery, with no control over your freedom, your fate, or even your body. That was the early life of Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers in history. Born around 50 AD in Hierapolis, a city in modern-day Turkey, Epictetus lived much of his life in bondage. But despite these harsh beginnings, his teachings on self-discipline, freedom of the mind, and personal responsibility have had a profound and lasting influence on how we think about life, power, and inner peace. Epictetus was born into slavery and eventually became the property of a wealthy and influential Roman official named Epaphroditus, who served the notorious Emperor Nero. While this might seem like the worst possible situation for a young man, it was during this time that Epictetus discovered philosophy. His master allowed him to study under Musonius Rufus, one of the leading Stoic teachers of the time, and this set the course for Epictetus's life. Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches the importance of living in accordance with nature, remaining indifferent to external circumstances and focusing on what one can control, became the foundation of Epictetus' worldview. Though physically enslaved, Epictetus believed that true freedom came from the mind. As he famously said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This belief in the power of the mind to overcome external challenges became the cornerstone of his teachings. In the late 1st century AD, Epictetus was eventually freed from slavery and began teaching philosophy in Rome. However, due to Emperor Domitian's expulsion of philosophers from the city, Epictetus moved to Nicopolis in Greece, where he established his own school. His lectures became famous, drawing students from all over the Roman Empire. Though Epictetus himself never wrote anything down, his teachings were recorded by one of his students, Arrian, in a collection known as the Discourses and the Enchiridion, or the Handbook. One of Epictetus's most central teachings was the idea that while we cannot control external events, we have full control over how we respond to them. He emphasized the importance of focusing on what is within our power, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, while accepting that much of life is beyond our control. In his Enchiridion, he writes, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This idea of personal responsibility and emotional resilience became the core of Epictetus's philosophy. He urged his students to detach themselves from external outcomes, whether that be wealth, fame, or even physical pain. For Epictetus, the key to living a good life was to align one's actions with reason and virtue, and to accept that suffering and misfortune were inevitable parts of the human experience. Epictetus also spoke extensively about the nature of happiness. He believed that true happiness could only come from living in harmony with nature and cultivating inner virtue. He taught that external things like material wealth or social status were ultimately indifferent. They didn't contribute to or detract from true happiness. Instead, it was how we acted, how we treated others, and how we governed ourselves that determined the quality of our lives. As he put it, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. One of the most enduring aspects of Epictetus's teachings is his emphasis on the practice of Stoicism. For Epictetus, philosophy wasn't something to be studied passively. It was a way of life, a discipline that needed to be practiced daily. He often compared the role of a philosopher to that of an athlete training for the Olympics, emphasizing the need for constant self-reflection, effort, and the building of inner strength. He believed that by practicing Stoic principles, one could achieve a sense of tranquility and resilience, even in the face of life's greatest challenges. Epictetus's teachings had a profound influence not only in his time, but also in the centuries that followed. His works were studied by great thinkers, from the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who kept Epictetus's teachings close to his heart, to modern-day philosophers and psychologists. In fact, his ideas are often seen as precursors to modern cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which also emphasizes the role of thoughts in shaping our emotions and actions. Epictetus died around 135 AD, but his legacy continues to inspire people to this day. He showed that no matter your circumstances, whether you are born into wealth or poverty, freedom or slavery, you have the power to shape your own mind and live according to virtue. His teachings on self-control, inner freedom, and the power of reason remain as relevant now as they were nearly 2,000 years ago. In the words of Epictetus himself, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Through discipline, wisdom, and the courage to face life's difficulties head-on, we too can achieve the inner freedom that Epictetus believed was the key to a good life.